Hi, my name is Nikki, and this is Interventionalist. I haven't made a video in quite a while. I felt like I don't know, like weirdly insecure about making YouTube videos, even though I make a lot of like TikTok videos. Um, but I thought I'd make a video today because I'm 25. I turned 25. It's January 4th, 2025, and I actually had a pretty okay day. I didn't really do much because I've never really been much of a birthday person. But most birthdays I tend to get quite emotional. And today was like pretty decent. Like I didn't get super emotional, but it did have me thinking about when I turned 23, just like the vast difference at where I am in life between those 2 years, and really like the difference between now and like a few months after I got out of an abusive relationship, and what my life was like on my 23rd birthday, because it was like one of the most like disorienting days I think I've ever had. I think it was probably the first time I ever had like a real PTSD episode, and I mean, what a good way to spend your birthday, right? But it kind of like shifted my life trajectory, like my understanding of what I had really become like after getting out of an abusive relationship, where I guess like finally realizing or admitting to myself like the damage that had been done, and that I wasn't going to be able to just like push my way through this time, um, which was really difficult. But I thought I would just talk about it because it's on my mind. So when I turned 23, I got out of an abusive relationship in August of 2022, and like in September 2022, I had moved to a new state. I mean, like when I finally got the opportunity to get out, which thank God I did, within like a couple days, I went and drove to where this new state was. I drove to the state, went to this town where there was like an apartment complex that had like openings, and I like went and just applied for one. I didn't even tour anything. I was just lucky enough to be able to do that. I'm very lucky for that. And I applied for it. I had never been to that town, and then I left. So I was in that town for maybe like a total of 10 minutes, and then I left and then flew back to my hometown. Luckily got like approved for an apartment, and then stayed in my hometown for like a month until like I could start my lease, and then after that I flew back to where I am now living, because that's where I had gotten a job. And yeah, so that was all like very fast, right? Between like August and September, my life was kind of like a whirlwind, and I was a mess for a lot of different reasons. But I moved, and I didn't really have a choice but to try and like kind of hit the ground running. And I think I was kind of weirdly lucky. This sounds weird, but I have bipolar 2, and I get hypomanic, and I had yet to find a medication that like really worked yet. So I was really hypomanic. I think it was like a coping mechanism. I think sometimes when you have maybe like a mood disorder or something, things like where you could get mania, I do think sometimes it's like a defense mechanism, a coping mechanism. And weirdly enough, I don't know if I would have been able to like get through that part of my life without it. Um, I think it was like really my crutch at that time. Like I was super social, and I like really built a life like pretty easily and pretty quickly because I had so much energy from my hypomania, and I was also like I was so afraid of looking back at what had happened, and I thought I could get through it if I just ran away from it, you know? But I like told myself, no, it's fine. I'm not really running away because I go to therapy and I talk about it, but I'm just gonna like try and speed run it, you know? I felt like if I took all the right steps, like in like a textbook, that would mean that I was moving forward, you know? So I was lucky enough to get away, and I was lucky enough to like get to another state, somewhere that I was like safe, or like relatively so. Um, Change my phone number and start a whole new life. I was like super dedicated to it, so I made a lot of friends. I like joined this dance studio, and I would obsessively dance. Like, oh my god, it was like actually ridiculous. I danced so much, but I made a lot of friends through that. Just that, like the friendships were for me like I don't know, I still felt very lonely in them, even though I'm very lucky that I was like able to even make friends because I was in this new state completely alone, this new city I'd never been to. I didn't know anyone, I didn't have any friends here. And I just thought I could speed run it, like make the friends, pick, like have a hobby, have a job, and that's it. I have a new life. It looks like a new life. It looks like a whole life, right? So I'm whole, and I have a whole life away from the one that was like broken down and left me feeling empty and like a shell of a person. And I thought if I just did everything right and I could paint the picture the way that it should look painted, I would be okay. It would mean that I healed and that I moved on, you know? And I thought moving forward meant moving on. But I've learned now that like moving on and healing are not the same as moving forward. Kind of like I don't know, I took the approach of like an object emotion an object emotion stays emotion. So I thought that would make me okay, and it didn't. And on my 23rd birthday, around December, I decided I was still pretty hypomanic. I was like, I'm gonna try and go on some dates, and that only lasted for like a few weeks because it was a bad idea. But I went on a few dates, and I ended up seeing this girl for like a month. And if you watch my videos on TikTok, I've talked about her a bit, but she was nice. But she's also the girl who told me I should go on T because it would be hotter if I had a deeper voice, whatever. But she was a nice girl. And we went out for like a few weeks, and that was in December. And on my birthday, she asked if we could spend it together because she wanted to take me to this like botanical garden. And I was like, yeah, that's really sweet. And so we went to that garden, and while we were there, oh my God, this is like what like shifted like or like changed the trajectory of my life, honestly, and the way I was going about things. She asked me a question. She asked me this question that like in theory should not have caused like such a freeze response in me. Like I don't know. She asked me this question about like what I like. And like I won't go into detail about like what, but she's like, what do you like? Like what do you I can't like you don't seem like you like anything. Like I want to be able to do things for you. Like what do you like? And I didn't have an answer. I just like stared at her, and she stared at me. And we kind of just stared at each other for maybe like 30 seconds. And then I think she could tell I was uncomfortable, and she just moved on. And I started to freak out. Like, I remember feeling like kind of catatonic, and like I was going to freak out. Like, I was going to freak out like I was short circuiting. Because I think it broke. Like, I feel like I was on like airplane mode. Or not airplane mode, pilot mode. I was just like, maybe airplane mode. Just like going through the motions, right? On automatic pilot, I don't know, I was on automatic, and it was like that moment in time that was like the ripple, and I was like shocked, into reality, and it was like I was asked a question about me, and I hadn't thought about me, I hadn't thought about my life, I hadn't actually thought about me, I had thought about what my life looked like from the outside, because if it looked okay from the outside, then I should be okay from the inside, right? No, that's actually not how it works, I learned that now, and I was just like, what do you mean? Like, what do I like? Why would I know what I like? Because in that relationship, like, I was stripped. My entire identity and who I was, and as a person in general, and a person who has wants and needs and likes and dislikes, was just genuinely stripped from me. Like, I felt like nothing. I felt like a projection. And in my particular circumstance, that was what she wanted. That was, like, quite literally the stuff she would say to me. Like, I was just something to be, like, used, was the kind of rhetoric she would use. And I'd really like internalized that at that point. Like, I'd been so broken down and so stripped of like all of what I was to become someone's like object. I didn't really have a sense of self anymore. Not even like, I didn't know what I liked. And it was weird to be asked that. Like, what do you mean? Like, I didn't see myself in a relationship as someone who was like supposed to also be equally like a person with like likes and dislikes and a personality. Thought I was just meant to be whatever would make you feel good. And even though, like, rationally, I guess at that point, I knew that wasn't true, it felt like an autopilot. That's what it is. I felt like I was still on autopilot from what the life I had been in. Like, I hadn't actually stopped living like that. I was just trying to get through, like, by being what I thought other people would need. So in this case, I didn't feel less alone. Like, before it was like, 'cause I was forced in that situation, and then to kind of try and keep myself safe. And then I went to this new state, and like, it was scary because it was so lonely, you know? And I was just going to do whatever I could to like not be alone. So that meant staying on autopilot and remaining a projection for people, because that's a pretty like surefire way to connect with people and make friends, is when like you are what they want or like what they like, and you like the things they like. And I don't know. I that's what I did. That was the approach I took, and it wasn't even really consciously. And when she asked me that question, it like shocked me into reality that, oh, like I am a person and I have to live, you know, like I have to be a person and I have to exist in this world too. I can't just like create a world and not live in it. Like, it's great. I'm so lucky that I had like started to create a life, you know, but I wasn't living in it. I was like not there. I was still not inside of my own head, you know, like where you're like kind of disassociated. Maybe it's depersonalization, derealization. I don't know. I felt like I wasn't really there. I was like watching myself build a life like a little pawn, like being like, kids, do this, now this, then this. But I wasn't there. And it just like zapped me into reality, and I didn't have an answer. And then I felt like paralyzed, and I lost it. I don't know. We spent like a couple more hours together, and then she went home, and I went back to my apartment. And later that night, it was like 4 p.m. at this time, and I had to go to a dance class at like 7. And I've been obsessively dancing, and they do birthday classes at this place, and she was doing the dance teacher was doing a birthday class. It was really nice, and you pick a song, and she does a choreography for you. And I did New Girl by that Billie Eilish's brother Phineas. It's like a gay song. Well, from my perspective, it was gay because but I couldn't miss it because people were going to it, and she had put in that work, and I had friends going to it. But I was a mess. I like went back to my apartment and just like broke down. I haven't cried like that. I don't know. It was the first PTSD episode I really ever had, and I'm sure I cried just as hard at other points, but I just remember it being like so viscerally intense, and I like broke down, and I just like was sobbing. I was just like could not get up, like sobbing, incoherent, and I just like kept saying to myself, I didn't know this happened. And it didn't make sense to me at the time, like, but it was, I just kept saying it, like it kept falling out of my mouth. I was like, I didn't know this happened. Like I didn't know I was like this. I didn't know this happened. And I just kept sobbing, and it was like I didn't know that I'd become this. I didn't know that this was real. Like I didn't know that I was actually like a victim. Like I didn't know that I was actually now having to live with like the side effects of abuse. Like that is what happens. You don't just like wash it off. Like you don't get to just like, I don't know, step out of the room that something happened to and not be followed by it. Like you're still surrounded by all the same stuff, I swear. Like, and it was the first time where I like closed my eyes. Like there was no present, there was only the past, and I couldn't tell the past from the present. And like I had more intense PTSD episodes, way more intense PTSD episodes later in my life, but that was the first one that it really began where things started to blur, lines did start to blur at all, and that was scary. If anyone watching this has had PTSD, you know that feeling, like, it like legitimately feels like, how in movies they do those like from the point of view of someone having a panic attack, like it's this is teeny weeny. From the point of view of like someone having a panic attack, the like cameras like panning from all these different angles, and the person's like breathing really heavy, and it's like moving really fast all around. That's like what it felt like all of the time, like just super disorienting, and like I couldn't focus, and I don't know, I was a mess, and I called my friends, and I couldn't speak. They just heard me sobbing. I called my best friend. Um, I don't even remember what I ended up saying. I don't even know if I was able to even get any words out. But after a couple hours of like sobbing, I was able to pull it together, and I went to that dance class. But it knocked the fucking wind out of me. The wind out of my sails that like kept moving forward. My capacity to keep moving forward that day as a way of trying to move on was taken from me. Like that hope, I guess, that I could just do that to get through. And the fear of having to really like recognize the reality was ripped away from me, and for the better, because I was able to actually then like start getting better. But oh my god, that fucking hurt. And then after that, I was like really dedicated to trying to get better, because it hit me so hard that I didn't have a choice anymore. There was no running from it. I think what I was doing was, I think I was like going in a circle, like I was running on a track. I think my cats are fighting. But I feel like I thought I was like walking forward, like moving forward, but I think I was like walking in a circle. I think I was like running around the same track over and over again. Guys, don't fight. There, okay. Sorry. But I thought I was like walking forward. I was like running around the same track over and over again, and I think like my approach was like run faster and faster and faster, and the faster you go, like the farther you'll go. But in reality, like, the faster I go, like, the more rapid I would be cycling between, like, these PTSD episodes and this, like, denial, and these PTSD episodes and this denial, And so that was, like, a moment where things just, like, really shifted for me, and then I got really, like, dedicated to finding the right medication, and a couple weeks after that, I did find the right medication, and then I wasn't manic, and after I wasn't manic, I was able to actually really start getting better, and when that happened, I spent the next year of my life, like all of 2023, just like pretty much spending like all my time alone. I made one really, really close friend in the place that I lived, and I would see her, and I would see other people on and off, but for the most part, I just spent all of my time alone trying to learn how to be a person again. Like I feel like after a lot of pain, after a lot of trauma, after abusive relationships, like your personhood is stripped from you. And I feel like that's not something that I anticipated having to relearn, which was how to be a person again. And it doesn't really make sense, I think, until you're in that position where it's like, I don't know how to keep being something. I don't know how to keep being a person. I don't know how to be something that is other than what another person wants me to be or tells me to be. How do I get back to being anything? You know? Like, how do I find any semblance of myself to even hold on to and rebuild? It's just gone. You just feel just destroyed and ruined. And I feel like I spent a year just really committed to trying to be a person again. Like, what did it mean to like things, to not like things? Like, trying to have a routine, like trying to figure out a routine. I don't know. Things that I liked and I didn't like. I've talked about that before, like in my videos. I think in my last video I made on here, but I talk about it on my TikTok a lot, like trying to figure out who you are again, your identity, like trying to build an identity, and it's gone, but it's your personhood, it's your ability to be a person that feels like it's gone, and I didn't know how to be it anymore. And yeah, I felt like that was like ripped for me, and in that moment was when I was like ripped back into reality that like made me realize I have to relearn how to be those things. I have to move forward, like actually. I can't just run away. But then a year went by, right? And like I really worked on it. I got a lot of therapy. I adjusted to what life was like, not rapid cycling and bipolar, and that was also really weird. I was used to always sort of being bailed out from like the depression, whether it was circumstantial or bipolar, by my mania, and I had to adjust to like that wasn't gonna happen. And I started to get better. I started this channel, and it helped me a lot. And I started writing, and I started reading more. And then after like the end of the year, I started dating again, trying to date again. Like, and then I met someone, and obviously like I fell in love. And I don't know. It's so much has changed since that 23rd birthday, but I'm a little emotional about it tonight. But it's not in a bad way. Ooh, I don't want to be emotional about it, but I am a little bit. It's not in a bad way. It's just because, you know, I felt like for so long, I didn't think that there was going to be a world where I would have a birthday that didn't feel like it was still being like overshadowed by the pain of what I was feeling on my 23rd birthday. Like, I thought that was going to follow me forever. And I thought it was going to like taint every single moment for the rest of my life. And I don't know. I never thought that I would have a birthday again where it wasn't the first thing on my mind. I didn't know how I was going to live with the things that I knew and live with the pain that I now carried. And it's weird that today, like, I turned 25, and yeah, there's other things that hurt currently and things that I'm confused about and tracks that I'm running in circles, but at least, like, I know I'm running in circles and trying to find a way out. But it's not that track. And I think when you've had so much pain from one thing, just being on any other track is better than being on one that was unbearable for so long, you know? And hopefully whatever tracks you're on now running in circles on, like, they're not as unbearable, but at least it's different. But either way, like, I never thought I was going to be able to, like, live a life outside of that thing. I truly didn't see a future for, like, a long time. I did not see a future beyond that. And I knew that time would keep passing, but I thought that with every moment passed, it would pass with me. I thought I was going to take it with me everywhere. I don't know. And I feel like it's just so weird to realize right now, to like wake up and have something that once like destroyed me not be the thing that I think about first thing in the morning, and not be the reason that I would even cry on my birthday today, which is so crazy. And that's only in 2 years. And I thought, if anything, even if I got to a point where that wasn't the case, I thought it would be years, not like 2 years. But that alone, like, it gives me, I don't know, I guess it gave me a sense of hope to know that with time, things fade, like, things pass, and, I don't know, like, I don't know how long you have to run around the track until you can finally, like, figure out a way to start getting off of it. Maybe it's 100 times, maybe it's 1,000 more times, maybe it's one more time around the track, but eventually you do, you know, like, you get off the fucking track, even though it feels like you don't know how to, or you're too afraid to. Like, even in moments where I really wanted to try and get better, I think sometimes what you want and sometimes what your body will, like, allow you to actually start doing are different things. Like, when you're really traumatized, like, you repress a lot of stuff, and even if you intellectually want to address some stuff, sometimes, like, you just, like, can't get yourself to feel it emotionally, or to stop avoiding it. Like, on a physical level, a physical, emotional level, you can get kind of numb, And it's just so crazy to be in a position where that's not the thing haunting me, and I don't feel numb about it anymore. I don't know. I guess I'm, like, losing the point, but I guess I just wanted to make this video because I have been, like, anxious to make videos on here, because I always worry that I don't really have anything important to say. And I guess I don't in general, but I guess I just wanted to say, like, if anyone else is experiencing this, like, has been running around that damn track like a hamster on a hamster wheel, or you've gone through that pain where you feel like your personhood was taken from you and you have to relearn how to be a person again, and I just want to say that you're not alone, because I remember that, like, visceral feeling of loneliness, like that first PTSD episode I ever had. Like, I remember just feeling like, I don't know, it was like a different level of loneliness. I just felt like I was sinking, like, I already knew I was pretty far down, like, I already sunk, but, like, I was sinking further, and that, like, loneliness was just palpable. But you're not alone, even if the people that are experiencing it too, like, aren't directly in front of you. You're not alone, and it doesn't last forever. It really doesn't. And, like, I know that it, like, doesn't help to hear that, but it's not that I wouldn't say that time heals everything, because I do think it does, but it's more so that, like, what I'm learning that has saved me is that time fades things, and as things fade, they at least become more digestible to even begin to start processing, and then you heal yourself, but time gives you the opportunity to exist long enough that this thing isn't so present and, like, all over your skin, because, like, when you allow yourself to just continue to exist in the after, that's all you have to do is just live. You don't even have to keep trying so hard. You can just live. Eventually you'll spend so much time away from that moment, and as a side effect to being in life, being in the world, so many other things will touch you, so many other things in the world, so many other moments, that moment, that past, will have no choice but to start fading in honor of the new things that you can't avoid by simply existing. And through that, it becomes less, like, unbearable, and less, like, sort of, like, impossible to even imagine ever leaving behind or moving forward from or beginning to process. And yeah, it's not that it heals, it's that it fades, and then as things fade, they hurt a lot less, and they make it a lot easier to look at directly and start to heal from, when the colors aren't so vibrant, or, like, the flash isn't so bright, and I think, like, from there, you have the opportunity to, like, start to build a life for yourself that doesn't feel, like, completely already painted in or tainted by the past, or the memories, and you can see the world beyond it. It just feels like that's never going to happen when you're in the moment. It really does. I did not think that I would ever get to a point where that was the case. And now it is. And it's been good, because since then, like, I've talked about it. Obviously, it didn't end well. Like, I fell in love, and then she cheated on me. And, like, it ended pretty shitty. Like, I go in depth about that. But I still was able to fall in love again. And, like, that's crazy. I didn't think that was even not only something that I didn't think I was going to want for a long time, or it was weird because I wanted it and I was also afraid of it. But I was afraid that my body wasn't going to let me fall in love again. Like, out of just, like, trauma and fear. Like, I thought it was going to never let me have that kind of connection to somebody again. And I did. And as the past connections faded, as the time passed and there was more time in between, like, it wasn't strong enough to keep me from being able to, like, connect to somebody else, yeah, the vibrancy of the present, like, suddenly outweighed, like, how vibrant the past was capable of still being, and I was able to fall in love and, like, have a life. And I just think I don't even know what I'm talking. I don't know what I'm talking about, other than if anyone else is feeling this way, like, I promise you that it doesn't last forever, and just give yourself, like, the opportunity of time and the promise of time, because time promises change. And I know that, like, people will say, like, make the most of every single day, but I don't even think it's about that. I think it's more so about just make the most of the fact that you have an after. That's it. Make the most of the fact that you get to exist in the after. That's all you have to do. That's it. Just give yourself that grace and that opportunity and let yourself live, you know, and like collect new life, even if that new life is spent in bed, like not being able to get out of bed for weeks, months, doesn't matter. You're still collecting new life experiences every day that will, by default, cause the past to fade, no matter how long it takes, no matter how many runs are on that track. But yeah, just give yourself time. I just think sometimes like you get to a point when you go through things like this where you don't want any more time. The thought of more time sounds like torture. And sometimes it's not even that you want like it to be done. You don't want to be done with your life. It's just that you don't know how to keep going. And I think with time, like if you just give yourself the days, you figure it out, you know, naturally. You don't have to force yourself to. You don't have to try so hard to get to a point where like you feel okay again. Just like let yourself live. And then I think with that, naturally, the feeling of being okay again will find you. At least being okay enough to like find the genuine like capacity and ability to start working towards being okay again without like not being able to get out of bed, without falling to the ground because of all the weight of this memory or this pain. Because it'll fade with time. Yeah. That's it, I guess. Yeah. That's kind of like a sad thing to talk about on my birthday, huh? It's well, now it's no longer my birthday. Now it's midnight. And I'm officially 25, so we will see what being 25 is like. But that's it. We'll see if I post this. I filmed a video before this, too. I don't know which one I'll post. This one's, like, more vulnerable and a little bit, I don't know if I made a lot of sense, or even if there's really a point to any of this, but, yeah. I carried a lot of pain from that relationship for a really long time, and for it not to be the thing that, like, feels like it's weighing me down today at all. Like, it's not the thing. It feels like a miracle, honestly. And I just, if anyone else is feeling that way, I just want you to know that it won't feel that way forever. It really won't. I swear. I genuinely swear. But okay, that's it. And I'll just end this by saying, I make other videos. I make videos on TikTok. I make like 10-minute ones, like similar topics. But I'm gonna start making more YouTube videos. I was just like a little insecure worrying that maybe I have nothing important to say at all, but I am gonna try and push past that. And I make Instagram videos, I make reels, and I have a website, and I write on there. And I also have a submissions page, and you can go on there and like submit something directly, or email me something, or you can send me a message on Instagram or TikTok. But the submissions are literally open to anything. If there is anything that you want to talk about, if there's been anything that's been hurting you that like you need to get off your heart, or like something that that's made you feel really hopeful recently, like literally anything that you want to talk about, like I hope this can be a reason. I would be honored to read it. And yeah, literally anything. If you would just want any kind of reason to talk about it, whether it's related to this or something completely different, please feel free to message me. If you have any thoughts on this topic too, like not even something that you necessarily want to submit, because I can publish submissions. If you don't want things published, obviously, like I won't do that either. But if you just want to send something and like thoughts on something at all, like you can always send it to me on anything as well, because I would love to read it, even if it's just something that's between us. I would be honored to read it and hear your thoughts. I love to hear people's thoughts. That's what's been the most amazing about like making videos and like on TikTok. And why I know I need to start making more here is the impact it's had on me to hear from other people. I don't think I will ever be able to put into words like the impact that it's had on me. So that's part of the reason I cried today. Cried on my birthday, but that was in a positive way. So that's pretty crazy. I haven't cried on my birthday in a positive way ever, but I have spent a lot of birthdays where I cried. Anyways. Yeah, that's that. Okay. I think that's everything. And if you watch this, I hope that if you have had a heavy heart and it's something similar to this, that your heart starts to feel lighter. And I just know that it will. And I really hope you give yourself the opportunity to just live in the after of whatever has hurt you. Because I promise it will pay off. I swear. I know this is dramatic. I know it is. But I also really mean it. I genuinely really mean it. Okay. Bye.